One, two, three.
Hello, Soul for X community. Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful day. I'm here with my son, Ronald and Ronald. So, Ronald and Ronald again here. I do want you to know if I look a little bit sleepy, I've been waiting for Ronald for about an hour already. Last time he nailed me down, he beat me like a rag dog because I was a little bit late that we have to move the interview. So now he's an hour late because he overslept. So, but here we are. We're going to do our best to bring you our topic that we tried to discuss last time. But before we get started, I would like to see how my son Ronald's day was. So, what's up, son? How was
Well,
your day?
I feel super well rested. I did.
Of course.
I was gonna take an hour long nap. It ended up going 2 hours. I was just exhausted today, so I finished editing the last video. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed episode number 4 with our aunt Kathy. Because I stayed up till like midnight, which isn't too bad. But then I had to wake up at 4 in the morning to get ready for work. So we got all that edited. Hopefully, you guys enjoy that content. Make sure you're leaving your feedback and comments in the section below, and then yeah, we're gonna keep it pumping. So in the last episode, we were talking up towards the end about this podcast because this has probably been the most energized podcast that we had. I mean, the minute my dad saw the interview that he's gonna discuss about, the energy was high. He called me like, I want to argue with you right now about Bitcoin versus gold. Um, so just so you guys know, we never talk in absolutes. We don't think one dies and the other doesn't. I think it's a matter of importance and it operates on a spectrum. But I will pass it over to my dad to kick us off with the Bitcoin versus gold episode 5 edition.
And of course, this is not personal advice. We're not a professional investment advisor, so don't take anything that we say in this podcast as a recommendation or anything like that. At least for me, it's purely my opinion of anything that I'm about to say, starting from this point forward. And then, never like in a recommendation. And I'm quite sure my son also believes the same thing, that is not, personal advice. But anyway, just to get started, guys, real quickly, the other day we were watching a video. I watched the video Michael Saylor from MicroStrategies CEO, and Frank Gustra, Giustra, from his gold financier. And so I thought it was a very interesting debate. I'm new into the crypto space as far as getting into the whole 9 yards here. Just thanks to my son, got involved into the cryptocurrencies. I've been investing now since February through the ups and downs. And a lot of times you do get some of those insecurities out there. And of course, when I listen to this gold, this Bitcoin versus gold interview that was done, I kind of like have my little doubts here and there. So me and Ronald started having some heated discussion off the record. And Ronald, of course, he's a bright young man, always come with bright ideas. I thought it would be a good idea to bring that up in a podcast. Anyway, so how you like to get started, my son?
Absolutely. And thank you for the compliment. Those don't come very often.
Uh, that's for true. I guess because we are on YouTube right now, so maybe that's why.
You're on your best behavior.
On the best behavior, yeah.
All right. So we're gonna break up this conversation into 3 or 4 categories. The first one is sound principles of money. The second one is the performance for the people that invested in gold versus the people that invested in Bitcoin, and we have a benchmark that we use, which is S&P 500. So when we go to that section, if you're not sure what the S&P 500 is, we'll discuss a little bit about that. But that'll be the second section is performance. The third one will be, resiliency and what's the future like outlook on either asset, kind of like taking over or growing in value. And then the fourth will be our final thoughts. We'll see if, what our points are for either asset, and hopefully, because we know some in the community that's even messaged us offline where they were like, you know what, I'm not really sold on gold. I think that the risk outweigh the reward. Hopefully we flip a couple people that to go that way. Or if you're like my dad and maybe you invest in the precious yellow metal called gold. Um,
I don't invest, by the way. I don't hold no gold.
um,
The only thing I've done with gold is I might I might trade it as far as options is concerned.
I was thinking gold
Yeah.
chain,
Uh,
like the picture that I saw when you had the boombox in your
oh,
on
oh
your
yeah.
show.
I'll bring it up next time. The boom, I still have it out there. Yeah, yeah. I
But
got
yeah, so that's the breakdown for today's podcast on the Bitcoin versus gold. So we'll start off with one. What is an ideal store of value? Ideal store of value consists of 8 principles. So 1, it's durable. 2, it's portable. 3, it's fungible, which fungible is basically mutually interchangeable. It's identical, right? Your $1 is the same as my $1. They both have the same value and they look the same. 4, it's verifiable. 5, it's divisible. 6, it's scarce. And 7, it has an established history. 8, it's censorship resistant. So those are the 8 sound principles of a store of value, which is important in our money system. So one, let's start off with durable, right? So what is your pro for gold as far as durability goes?
uh, the durability of gold to me been in existence since pretty much the creation of Earth, and so it cannot really be destroyed. It can be made and changed in different shapes and forms. So to me, I think that he's here to stay for a long, long time, no matter how much you try to reformat in different things, whether you use it for jewelry or gold bars or whatever else is there. So that will be my perception of durability.
Right. Yeah, I think in that category, gold has, has that value, right? It's durable. It doesn't, you can melt it down, but you can't really destroy it, right? Um, but what I will say with Bitcoin is it has the network, right? It has computers. So whether you shut down one, it's like shutting down the whole internet. Since the internet has been invented, how many times has it actually cut off completely for the world, right? Never. You can always turn it back on. So it's very, very durable in that sense. It's durable in the modern day kind of way.
Okay. Yeah. What if you get hacked?
You can't hack the actual blockchain. You can hack exchanges, but the asset itself is durable.
Well, I guess that,
It's
that makes a
it's
good point because I'll say hacked at the same thing. I can get my gold hacked by
right.
somebody coming to my house and stealing. If I have gold bars, please do not come to my house. I don't have no gold bars. But yeah, the same thing I would have said that. So I take that back in the same no hacked. Anybody can steal your gold. Anybody can steal your Bitcoin if you don't secure your Bitcoin. So
Or if you have your gold in a safe deposit box, I mean, the bank can, close off your access to it if they have questions for you and you have an answer to reply to them, good luck trying to get into your box, you know. They'll have it on there, oh, he needs to pay or he needs to answer this question um, to get access to your box. Or if the
now, by
bank
the way, I
closes.
didn't get the memo. I didn't get the memo for this Bitcoin versus gold. So I'm trying to go along with the punches in your format. But go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, so you can't access your gold in a safe deposit box unless the bank is actually open and grants you permission. You know,
But at the end of the day, it's still durable, right? The gold, even though they don't grab me, it's still there.
right, right. But it is,
So
yeah,
far as
but it is durable.
durability, so far as durability, whether the bank blocks me or the government takes it from me, the same thing. I can take your Bitcoin from you. You happen to lose your wallet, or somebody else can. So, but
Right.
they still exist.
You could
So when you're
scam me.
saying,
You could
huh?
scam me out of it, but the
Yeah,
actual asset itself is durable. I think both of them win in the durability factor.
right. Because even the power outage goes out, eventually, if it's in a wallet or when the power comes back, you're still going to have it. The same thing with
Yeah,
gold. No matter who takes it from you, it's still going to be there. It's going to last for a long, long time.
right. Yep. So durability, I think they both kind of hold their own. All right, portability. So gold.
Now, I do own copper. These are copper piping that I removed from my house and I replace it for plate. So I do it on copper. I can take this anywhere, right?
Right.
So I assume this is a gold bar. I wear a gold ring, being married 30 years. So I've been taking my gold everywhere. So I can transport my gold. It's been transported before throughout history when countries, sell the gold when there was, whenever they finance the war between, I think, Germany and England, and the United States was getting paid in gold. They transport the gold. So can you agree on that they transport the gold?
I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I think gold is transportable, but on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably like a five, you know.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into it if you're moving large amounts, right? You have a Garda, you have a Brinks, manpower, you need guns. Um,
We love guns in Georgia.
yeah, yeah, but it's still
But
like, would you really like? That's is an old way of things. Like, okay, yeah, a horse can get me from point A to point B, but would I prefer my horse or the car? I prefer the electric car, right?
okay.
So Bitcoin to me wins in this category hands down. It's not even a close debate. I can send gold, I can send my Bitcoin to you instantly. I can as easy as it is for me to go to like get on a plane and fly to go visit you. My Bitcoin's there with me. My Bitcoin's there with me is there before I even get there, you know? So to me in this category, the cost, the flexibility that Bitcoin offers makes it a superior asset when it comes to this number second principle of a store of value. So
Now,
if you
the
bury
second
your
was
gold,
a store
if
of
you
value
bury your
or
gold, you're gonna have to unbury it to
okay.
to go to get access to it.
Okay, that's that it is transportable. What was the proper term to use? Number two?
Uh, yeah, portability or portable.
Portable, right? You can move it around, right?
Right.
But wouldn't you agree that maybe I don't want my gold to move around because it gives me it gives me the option of hey maybe I don't want to give it away right away, But in the Bitcoin, you are able to transport it like this before you might regret it because you were supposed to be using it for for a digital asset versus a digital currency.
You could put
One
it
is
in a,
gone, you gone if you sell
right.
it to me.
It's true, but you could put it in a hardware wallet, and those that you can add steps to it to do. It's like a
Okay.
vault. Remember in the last, not the last podcast, but I think it was the second podcast where I showed both hardware wallets that I have. One is not easy to get into. There's a lot of steps to it.
No,
The
my
other
point
one,
I'm making is my point is making. Yeah, I don't want to give my goal. I want to keep my goal because it's supposed to be a a source of a digital asset, not a currency. So I don't want to trade it off. I want to use it
it's
as
not
a
a
bank.
source
I
of
want to.
digital asset. It's an analog asset. It's
It
old
could
school.
be. It's still been over 3,000 years or more, right, since the creation of Earth.
Yeah, and that,
But
that
you might have a point. As far as you can move it quickly, yes, you're right. In an instant, you can have it to the side. So okay.
yeah,
So
portability. I mean, hands down, Bitcoin has it beat. It's in the internet.
yeah.
It's everywhere. Um, okay, so the third one, fungible, right? So is it fungible? And that's basically that it's mutually interchangeable. It's identical, right? So every dollar, like the example I used earlier, right? Every dollar looks like a dollar, and they're mutually interchangeable.
Mhm.
Gold, I argue, is not. And many of the gold that we have today, it's not. So where
You
Bitcoin
mean it's not
is.
like 100% gold? You mean that you might be like whatever, like 18%, 24%?
Let me mix it in, sprinkle a little bit of this, or coat it nicely for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you cannot afford it, don't you want something that you can afford, right? So if you can afford, cheap gold, you wouldn't mix it with something else, and you might not get the 100% gold. You just
Yeah.
get the 10%, 5%. So
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking gold bars, like actual gold bars, there's some variability to it, but the
right.
actual weight, I would say is fungible. But in Bitcoin, like it's built in. the fungibility is built into it. You
Right,
know,
right.
a Satoshi is a Satoshi. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. 10 Bitcoin is 10 Bitcoin. It's, you know, when you're getting it, you know what you're receiving. You know.
Right. Yeah. There's no way. There's no denial that somebody's giving you a Bitcoin. You're not getting a Dogecoin for a Bitcoin, for example.
Right. Right.
You know, it's a Bitcoin, not a Dogecoin, for example, right?
You end up with Kathy's dog.
I know, man. That was a nice one. That was a nice kill, though. Maybe come up with a new NFT for that dog.
I know, right? Dogecoin special edition.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so fungibility. I mean, I think there's just a lot of variability in the gold that we have, right? That's out there.
Right.
Um,
And you know that you have a valid point because I remember going to a seminar and it actually was for trading. And this guy said, you know, you ought to have it was for trading and he believed in investing and he said, you know, you ought to have some golds in your portfolio. And literally he had a little small little gold bar, maybe about I don't know, 2 inches by 4 inches. And it felt like gold, it felt heavy, but if he would have sold it to me, I'd probably pay him whatever he gives me. I had no idea whether that was really, you know, the good gold or the bad gold. You
right.
know, there's a lot of scams out there. So I agree with you in that sense as far as the, that third topic.
All right. So
It's
fungibility.
not too bad of a debate on that one. So
So that's Bitcoin winning tied for the first one. The second and third one, Bitcoin's got an edge over it. All right. Verifiable. This kind of feeds right into what you were just saying, right? Can I verify this gold is valuable? Right?
if you take it to an expert, yes.
Exactly.
You take it to an expert, he will verify what you're getting ripped off on that.
Right. Or you get the panda gold coins or
Right.
the Japanese ones or whatever, you know, or like the
Yeah.
rare ones. Okay, why is this one worth more than that one? You know, that's what I think it's just it's harder to verify the value
Yeah.
of gold. You know.
Yeah. And I guess you do have to go through a hassle just to go verify, in fact, that you got a gold ring or a gold bar. It is hard. I mean, I'm not debating that point because it's true. I cannot verify it's a gold or not.
So okay, so even if the bar, let's say you had a bar, right? You're literally transferring a bar, it's stamped, you know, 100
All right.
grams or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You would still need a weight machine to weigh that it weighs 100 grams,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So you would need some kind of, you know, need an extra piece of tool to verify the weight of it. You're not just going to take take the bar and be like, oh yeah, this weighs 100 grams, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and actually when I was doing, so I was, as I'm building this budget podcast, I actually go through like the history of money. I have an awesome sheet that I use where it kind of shows like the different sizes
Mm-hmm.
that the gold bars come in. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty unique. So I mean, I did study a little bit of the gold thing, but it's just like everyday kind of stuff. It's not that easy to verify. You need, you know, a scale or something like that to do it. All right, so that was the fourth one. And verifiable on the blockchain is just easy, right? I send it to you, it confirms in a certain amount of transactions over the network, confirmations rather over the network, and boom, you receive it in your wallet. You know, it's super verifiable. Anybody can go, and this is, you know, this could be a plus or a minus for it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's verifiable to the extreme. It's a public block. It's a public ledger, right? The blockchain is essentially a public ledger. So I can go on there, you can go on there, anyone can go on there and verify that a transaction actually occurred, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it's a public blockchain. So that's why I said it's a positive and a negative because anyone can verify it. If they know your address, they can look at it and see like, oh, this transaction occurred on this date at this time.
You know my IP address.
No, I'm talking about the actual like your wallet address.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean not home address. That's what I'm trying to
Right, right,
get.
yeah. Yeah, not a home address, but your actual Bitcoin wallet. If and you can make many of them, right? People have many of them, but if you have the specific wallet address, you can look for it on the blockchain and see the transaction was completed. It was sent from this wallet to that wallet. You won't know necessarily it came from this person to that person, but you know the transaction occurred. So
Yeah.
it's super verifiable. Um, fifth one, the visibility. So what's your thought on gold, the divisibility. So this is
Yeah,
like in our currency, right? We have pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, dollars, tens, fives, 20s, 50s, hundreds.
mhm.
So gold, divisibility.
What do you mean? Did I can see it visually?
No, you have so this is like the picture thing. You have to see like, okay, if I'm gonna trade $5,000, I need to look for a certain amount of weight in gold, right? So it's
Right.
divisible. It has different increments by the weight.
Okay, so you're saying gold, if I happen to have a gold bar, I cannot do that. I either sell you the whole bar
Right.
or nothing at all.
Right. It's not it is divisible, but it's not easily where you can be like, oh, let me give you this much versus the amount I have.
Mhm.
You actually need to buy. Sometimes when people are buying gold, they actually need to think like, okay, you know what? I need to have smaller denominations so that I'm not trading, so that I'm not stuck having a big brick that I can't really give to someone.
Yeah.
I can't trade it in for the good I want. You actually have to think those things through and buy the small little, bars, the one
Right, right,
gram ones, all that kind of stuff,
right,
or the actual little coins.
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I never had any gold, but I'm quite sure some viewers own gold in that sense, perhaps, but they probably know better.
Right. But that's what I said. Like,
I
there's
get the
people
point now. I get the point what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, there's people that's like, oh no, gold is superior. Okay, but hang on. Do you have this size, this weight, this weight? Because if you don't, your your kilo of gold is useless unless you're gonna give the whole thing for a loaf of bread,
Mhm.
you know? Um, Bitcoin, on the other hand, is super divisible. You can break it to the eighth decimal, right? So it takes 100 million satoshis to equal one Bitcoin.
Mhm.
So it's super divisible. You can break it up. I can send you 10 Bitcoin just as easily as I could send you 100,000 Bitcoin. You know,
Right.
and in
Yeah.
the first, I think it was the first podcast where we showed like how much $100 gets you. It was like
Mhm.
176,000 satoshis.
Mhm.
So it's super divisible. Scarce is number 6. So gold.
It is scary. I don't have it.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have the gold, so to me, it's scary. It costs me a lot of money, so I'm not going to go buy it. Eventually, I mean, for that, for that issue, I mean, I heard so many different things. As far as the Earth is concerned, I'm quite sure that they might be in the oceans, it might be somewhere under the mountains, it might be whatever. But they're not going to keep blowing out mountains all the time, and perhaps it's not environmentally sound to go under the ocean. You can go to space, but that might be too costly. So it is rare.
Yeah, I think 2% gets added to the supply. 2% gets added every year to the supply because they discover more, they mine more.
All right, right.
Um, but it is scarce. I would actually say in this kind of in with gold being having such a big history, I think it's actually very elitist. You know, like whenever you have Frank, right, the billionaire that we were watching, who's a Canadian, multi-billionaire, makes a lot of money in the gold industry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not like you wouldn't store millions of dollars worth of your net worth in gold without being like, you know what? I have a place where I can store it. I have a place where I can access it. I have armed guards there, 24-hour security. Like your average person won't and can't do that, you
Mm-hmm.
know? They can't store a $300,000 net worth in gold. It's not that easy, right? Um, even if you're worth $10,000 worth of gold in your house,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't it's not the easiest thing to store. You would have to get a good vault, not the vaults that you get at Home Depot, you know Because whenever I was like, you know what? Whenever I was going into investing, I was like, okay, I do want gold, but what's all the problems that come with it, right? What does it actually take to store a certain percentage of your net worth in gold? It actually takes a lot. And I researched the vaults that they sell at Home Depot, and it's like people could cut that with a normal saw that you cut wood with.
Wow.
So yeah, so they're really, really
That's
bad vaults,
yeah.
Um, and then you can go to a locksmith and get a real good vault, but then you actually need someone to install it. If you're gonna
Mhm.
install it right.
Yeah,
So
it's just not the most preferred way, I guess, to store your gold at your home anyway, regardless.
right. So yeah, I mean it's like that, but the scarcity I think is there, right? Like a lot of people don't have it. It's not like you see it on the floor, in your yard, right? So it is scarce on
Hmm.
it, but I don't think it's easily accessible in that scarcity, which
Right, right.
makes it harder to actually be um like a good money, for
Hmm.
a big population. Like we outgrew gold as a society. It
That's
belongs
your
in
opinion, yes, right?
it belongs in the museum.
Well, if you have any gold, please, by all means, make sure you send it to me. Bring it here next time we see you for the next holiday.
Hey, it's just
I'll
gonna go.
take all your gold.
It'll probably go down in value over time.
It's okay.
Okay, so scarce. Bitcoin is scarce. There's only 21 million
Right.
ever that's gonna be minted. The estimated date that it hits 21 million is 2140. So, well, you would be long gone.
Yeah, I'll be long gone. You
I'd,
you'll be
I'd be
you'll be
gone.
right there. You'll
I'd
be
be
gone too.
but it's scarce, like it's not where they can keep printing more or
Right.
making more out of thin air. So there's a fixed supply on it, right? Where gold actually doesn't have a fixed supply. We keep finding more. I'm sure there's other people that are manipulating the supply as well, right?
Right. Yeah. Probably same thing like happened with diamonds and stuff.
Hmm.
They have to control the price.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
I
forget the name
mean,
of the
yeah.
family. It was like Dan Bears or something of that manipulate
For the
that.
diamonds, yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, them.
Beers or something.
Yeah, beers. But gold, I mean, gold was manipulated, just like silver was manipulated by J.P. Morgan, right? And they actually had to pay a fine for that, right? Now that's
Right. Right.
manipulating like the actual price. But if you don't think the mining companies,
Hmm.
if they find too much gold, you think they're just gonna dump it on the market? No.
No. Yeah. I mean, a lot of things. A lot of the commodities are always manipulated. I mean, including the price of oil.
Right.
They got all the oil in the world. They're just not going to just dump it like that. Unfortunately, they do sometimes here and there just for political reasons from one country to the other or whatever might be the case. But obviously, it is manipulated. So gold, I think, is the same way in that
Right.
sense.
Okay, number 7, established history.
So that should be hands down. Bitcoin loses.
Yeah, I'll give that to you. I'll
And there's
give
not even to argue how long gold been around. So,
right.
you know. Yeah, and I think that would scare a lot of people when it comes to Bitcoin. Bitcoin perhaps been a little bit over 10 years in existence versus gold. And a lot of people are scared that even though Bitcoin has been for about 10 years, you have no idea whether it can be, shut down by the governments. It can be whatever can happen to it. So, it don't really have that clear history. Even from the very beginning, Bitcoin was primarily used as a digital currency and even transforming into a digital asset. And that have many governments are trying to recognize it. And a lot of things, some of the banks are also here in the United States are trying to recognize it as a digital asset versus a currency.
Right.
Um, so,
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So one with gold, it has a long established history, but I would actually say that history is not as pretty as people may think. You know, like a lot of wars were fought over it. And that was some of the things that Michael Saylor, the person that was debating Frank, said, right?
Hmm.
You have Alexander, you know,
Yeah.
who went out and took the gold from the Gauls. The Incas were subject to, you know, the invasion from people that came from Europe and took a lot of gold.
Right.
There was actual myth that not a myth, like a story of like the Inca village. Like they had a whole bunch, like it was like a large room size of gold. It was like a big block of gold, what I imagined, right? And they were supposed to give it to the Spaniards that went there. And I forget the name of it. I'll probably put the name in there because it was like an awesome story. But there's been
Hmm.
so many like people that like, you know, either don't return back when they try to go find it out in the in the mountains or wherever they have it. So there's been a lot of history with gold, and I think in that history it's made it valuable because it's not easily obtained. You know,
Right. Right. Yeah.
and then people will fight you and invade your country for it. You know,
Right. I mean, yeah.
um, yeah. So
I
I
mean,
think
it has been used as a monetary system.
right,
Gold for many years have been used as a big monetary system. Of course, everything is up for debate whether even in the United States where we really have gold in Fort Knox or not. So thing has changed ever since Nixon changed it, the gold standard and stuff. But
right.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think with gold they tried to help it evolve, right? By having like the you know the certificates of
mhm.
it, right? Like, oh, this dollar bill was redeemable. You know, this
Right,
note is redeemable in gold. So that way they didn't have to move the gold around. But there was
right,
no
because it wouldn't make any
verifiable
sense, right?
way. Right, but there was no way to really like verify that okay, that we actually have the right amount of dollars in circulation that
Hmm.
are backed up by gold,
Hmm.
you know? So it was hard to keep that one to one, you
Cool.
know? So that was number seven. Oh, so with Bitcoin, the history is short, is small, right? Since you're not attacking Bitcoin, I'll attack it a little bit. So Bitcoin has a short history, right? Its first block was minted in 2009. Um, that right there is like 11 years old, right? um and that doesn't really establish like that confidence that it's gonna be around for the next 11 years, you know. So
Right.
I get that part, for sure. So to have 100% of your net worth in Bitcoin, to me is like, yeah, you're YOLOing it, right? Like you're really living on the edge.
Hmm.
And I mean, while I think there's a high probability that it succeeds,
Right.
you're really, you know, your history isn't necessarily on your side on a long enough timeline, right? Um, but in its since it's been born, right, in 2009, it has performed very well. And we'll kind of go into the charts to see like, okay, as an investor, you know, if I have $100 or $1,000, where should I put this at? You know, we'll kind of go over some of the performance stuff, but the history I think does go down, just does get hands down over to gold, just for the
Hmm.
sheer amount of time that it has been recognized as a store of value. Oh, the other
Hmm.
thing that you said that kind of sparked my thing was, yeah, so Bitcoin wasn't necessarily a store of value in the beginning because it didn't, it was, you could have bought 4 Bitcoin for 1 penny at one point. Um,
Right. Yeah.
but as the halvings kept happening and the supply, like it's a scheduled supply shock every four
Hmm.
years, give or take, right?
Right.
That the supply gets constrained, and you adding the network effect of more and more people that are adopting it, that's really what's driving the price up. So as long as the demand continues to grow, people learn how to manage it, people know how to store it, people know how to use it, the demand is going to continue to increase, right? When you first
Hmm.
got Facebook, it's not like you were, oh, you know what, how do you do this? Or I'm going to use this every day of my life. But more and more people got on. And then when more and more of your friends got on, you would use it even more. So it was like the network effects. So I think that's really what's happening to Bitcoin, is that you're having more and more people that's interested in it. You're having more and
Mhm.
more people that's involved in the space. They want to learn how to code on it. They want to learn how to use it, right? It's
Mhm.
programmable money. So as people, get more and more knowledge of it, that's what's driving the value up. And because Bitcoin is only 900 is being dumped on the onto the markets, it's being produced by the miners every day. It's Well, I was gonna say, only because 900 is being dumped every day compared to the 3600 that was initially being put
Mhm.
on every day. It's changing from a currency to an actual store of value, just because of how little is being put into the market. And then in 2024, that number is going to drop to 450. So the constraint is going to go even less. That's how I know
Right.
for a fact. As long as demand stays even the same, demand doesn't even have to increase for the price to go up, because the
Mhm.
supply is going to drop down. So,
Cool.
yep. All right. So this one's a hot one. Censorship resistant.
But definitely, I don't think gold is censorship at all, if you ask me. Depending how you want to view it, but I can think many reasons why Bitcoin can be censored. But
Okay.
how did you go? I mean, I don't know. How did you go first? I want to make sure exactly what that point means. Because, like I said, I didn't get the memo for this debate. So,
Okay. So censorship resistant. This is just the educational part before we go into
yeah.
the debate. So
What?
censorship
I thought it
resistant.
was a debate.
I mean, this is the debate, but we had to have some kind of educational piece,
Education. All
right?
right.
So censorship resistant. Um, One, Bitcoin is borderless. So yes, if one country truly bans it and they make the penalty so high that if they catch you owning it, people will just leave the country,
If they
right?
can afford it.
If you own Bitcoin, trust me, you're gonna be able to afford it. so so if
Yeah.
you and then people, you put something on you put things in your book bag and you just cross the border instead of you're going the other way.
Yeah.
The people coming from Mexico are gonna be like, wait, why are you leaving this way?
Yeah. Why are you crossing the border
I know,
the
right?
opposite way?
It'll be easy to just cross the border that way.
Yeah.
um but yeah, so it's borderless though. It doesn't care, where it's at. It's the same thing, anywhere. So to me, it is censorship resistant, because if one country bans it, you just go somewhere else, and it's easily portable so that you can do it, right? It's divisible, so if the currency is, it's not your, let's say your dollars is buys you more in that country, well, your Bitcoin
Mhm.
is going to buy you even more, right?
Mhm.
um so yeah, it's, to me, it's censorship resistant for the traits that it has. It doesn't care where you're at geographically.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, you're trying to say like, if like let's say Turkey, if it's officially bought in Turkey, and those people that had it in some sort of safe wallet and not in an exchange, if the exchange was shut down, and you had it in some sort of wallet, and you managed to either leave the country across the board, or if you manage to still use an EPA,
VPN.
a VPN address, and forward it to a different country and exchange it for your actually currency or whatever, you're good. I mean, that's what you're saying. I mean, it's still not censored because you still can take it with you, right?
Right, if you have it off of exchange, it's yours,
Uh,
right? So if you store it on a hot wallet or a hardware wallet, it doesn't matter, as long as it's not on an exchange, it's yours. So you can go, you could leave your phone in your home country, get to another country, buy a phone with the internet connection, and access it.
mhm.
So it truly is You know, like not only like it's super portable, right?
Hmm.
But just in that, it's what makes it censorship resistant, because as long as you are alive, you can access it. You know, where your gold, once it's taken, it's taken.
Yeah.
There's no getting that gold back unless you show up with guns to get
Hey,
it, to take it back.
that's what the guns are for, right? So you can protect your goal.
Yeah. Now you're really gonna have to use your Second Amendment, right? If you have it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we still have them here in Georgia, so that's a good thing.
But I don't think gold is that censorship resistant, to be honest with you. For that reason, is that you can get it taken away from you, relatively easy. You know.
You can still hide it like they did way back in the day when the government decided that you need to sell your gold to the government. If not, they were going to confiscate it from you. People still were able to still hold onto the gold. You know, they didn't come into the house searching every single inch of your home.
Right.
So I mean, you still can keep it. I mean, now it might be hard to take it across the border in a six pack in your backpack. I mean, you know, that might be a little different story. If you want to take it away, I mean, if you want to take it with you somewhere else. So, in that sense, of course, it makes a lot of sense. You know, if you happen to have Bitcoin or some sort of digital currencies that, like you said, you know, you don't. They can say, hey, listen, you can leave right now just with the clothes on your back, and as long as you can remember your password somewhere, or you store it in a different location through whatever means that you secretly via email secretly you have some sort of codes that nobody can know that that's what it is. You
Yeah.
get to that destination, you still are able to, I'm quite sure, to still have access to that digital currency, right? That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. I mean,
But the goal you can't.
and you can get creative, right, with it, because you know email is not a secure method of
Right.
communication. So, but you wouldn't sell your 20, you wouldn't send your 24 words, you know, your private
No,
keys
right, right.
in one email, right?
Yeah.
You could send 2 words, you know, in this email, create another email, send 2 words, and this email do this 2 words.
Right, right.
Yeah, there's just so many ways. Like as humans, we're super creative, but
Yeah.
with gold, you are kind of limited. You know, at the end of
Right, right.
the day, to it, you can get creative with it as well,
Mhm.
but it's just not. It's not as flexible. You know, it's not as
Yeah.
mobile. Every step of the way, someone would be taking more and more of your gold. By the time you got to your destination, you have nothing.
Yeah. That's true.
So censorship resistance, and then you know, we'll do like a brief history too on the confiscation of gold that happened in the U.S. So I know to other people they might be like, "What do you mean the government took gold?" That's, you know, I don't think your average person may know that, but it's definitely there, and you can Google it. You know, confiscation of gold in the U.S. And you'll get the executive order that enabled that and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
uh, it's already proven that they can take your gold from you.
Go ahead.
All right, so yeah, that was the 8 ideal things that your money needs to have to be a store of value. So that was a good like introduction, that you're like, you know what makes money money, um, and what makes it valuable. These are like the 8 principles that I really like that they actually went over in that debate, to talk about, you know, what made gold valuable, what makes Bitcoin valuable. So I wanted to go through that for our audience. Okay, so the next thing was, I know I'm gonna make you a host, or you're already the host.
I think I am the host, I think.
Yep. So
I'm
yeah,
not
if
for
you
sharing
want to,
screen.
yeah, if you want to share your screen. So this is the performance aspect of it, right? So if you had your money in gold, or if you had your money in Bitcoin, you know, which one would have been performing better?
Hmm. Okay, you able to see the screen now?
Yep, I got it. I'm on Coin Market Cap though. You need to go to yeah, whichever one you want to start out with. I just hit
Get
continue.
this thing. Yeah, no, you just got to reload, I guess.
Just hit continue.
It looks like we're trading view.
No, hit continue.
Oh, okay.
And then yeah,
Now,
close
right
that.
now we on the S&P 500 futures.
Yeah, that's fine. Just zoom out a little bit more. So for people that don't know what the S&P 500 is, that's a good benchmark for comparing like your investment performance to it. The S&P 500 is basically the top 500 companies in the US. They would be on there with a couple exceptions. Like Tesla was recently added to it, even though they were a top company before. Um, but yeah, top 500 companies. That's basically what makes up the S&P 500. Top five American companies. Um, yeah, I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, this is a full chart, right? So if you had been in the stock market in the 90s and you never, you kept dollar cost averaging, which we learned from the last podcast. You want to exit that? Yeah, close that.
Yeah, every time they pop up, and every time that they pop, I'm closing it out, so you don't have to repeat it. I just got a little bit delay there.
Oh, got it. Yeah, so if you had been dollar cost averaging, which we learned in the last podcast what that was, but basically where you're adding a certain amount every paycheck, every day, whatever the frequency is, but that you're adding money to your investment on a recurring basis. That's dollar cost averaging. If you had been doing that in the stock market for the long haul, you would be sitting pretty good right now, right? So this is the benchmark that most people use when they're comparing their performance for their investments. If you want to zoom in, Dad, from 2020 or sorry, 2012, yeah, 2012 to now. So in 2012, what was the price? You could just go over it. You don't have to go over a specific month or anything. But in 2012,
Are you seeing the close? Yeah, it's right there. That's the month of September.
yep,
It's kind of represent a month. That's what we got to set up right now.
yep, yeah. So
So
right, today's trading day close or it's trading at right now 41.80. So I just did 41.80 divided by, we'll do the close for in 2012, which was 14.34. So that was a 2.9x on your money, right? So if you had put $1,000 in there, your $1,000 would be worth 2,914. So that's the benchmark, right? Your money should have almost tripled from 2012 to now. Okay. That's the benchmark. And you can see in COVID in 2020, if you want to put the mouse over there so we can see the lowest point when the pandemic happened.
Well, the lowest was 2174.90.
Yep, 21.74. So even in that chaos when the markets were selling off, over the long haul, that would have just been a buying opportunity, right? So I don't that's why I don't panic, because I know if I zoom out, a lot of times the assets are going up in value. And they're going up in value, one, because they're betting on the economy in the US, right? And you can see, look, we've been on a trajectory up, but also the dollars is going down in value because they keep printing more and more. So this is why I don't fear putting money into the market that way, because I know I need my money to go work for me, right? But if you zoom out in these charts, you can kind of come up with your own reasons as to why investing is important. And if you're just saving, you're really losing, because your money's going down in value when you're saving. The interest that they're paying you on the bank accounts is very, very low. So this S&P 500 right here is just a good benchmark to compare whatever thing you want to invest in to this, right?
Yep.
So then we can go to the gold one. Now it looks like they changed it, right?
Yeah, they look at the oil on the S&P 500 for whatever reason.
Huh.
Yeah, you see on the top, They all look the same. I'm not sure why.
That's fine. So let's go to click on the SPY, SP11. You see where it says that? Yeah. And then the ticker symbol was I wish it would
Or
have
use it for gold.
XAU.
XAU.
Yep. Uh-huh. XAU. Yeah, you see gold / US dollar.
Yeah.
Yep, we could do that. No, bottom. Oh, that's fine. Either one's fine. So this is the spot trade of gold. The spot price. A little different than the futures. But is that as far back as this one goes?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Doesn't say. I mean, I can go back.
no, I mean no, that's fine. Um so here's where in 2007, and I know we were the other one we did the 90s, but this is fine. So today's price is 1789. Divide that by go to 2007. One of the candles in 2007. The price was it closed at 607. So in just from instead of 90s, right? Being an S&P 500 from the 90s to now, you would have done 2.91x. Here you did 2.94x. So a little bit better in a shorter amount of time, right? So gold has outperformed the S&P 500, or has matched the performance of the S&P 500 from 2007 to now, versus 1990 to 1996, I think is what we chose, to now for the S&P 500. So if you had put $1,000 in there, again, it would have been, $2,940 in today. But so here's the kicker, right? So from go to 2020. And you get a lot more ads than I do.
I know, right? I guess I get the free stuff. That's why. All right, 2020 right here.
Yep. Okay, so 2020, what was the price?
Oh, this is January.
Yeah, just use January is fine.
The close or the high or the low? Which one you looking for?
So I'm gonna look at the close of that month.
Close is 1589.
Yep. And then right now it's 1789 divided by we're gonna do a close of 1589. So basically you would have done 12.5%. Your money would have grown by 12.5%. So if you had $1,000 in there, your $1,000 would be worth $1,125. So it hasn't performed better than the S&P 500. So if you had all your money in gold and you're like, oh, the world's gonna end, so I'm gonna put it in a safe haven asset, your money did not multiply the way it would have if you left it in the S&P 500. Okay, then let's go to Bitcoin. This was the part while we're getting this chart. This is the part where Frank told Mike, he was like I got nothing to say with the performance of gold.
Okay, Bitcoin. What were you using for Bitcoin before?
Well, I would go to Trading View just because.
I am there now.
Oh, you are? Okay.
We're using BTC USD.
Yep.
Which one you want me to use? The guy, well, I know use
The
different
second
one.
one. Yep, Bitstamp. You see now they're staying at the top.
Yeah.
So I don't know what made it change, but it did. Okay, so this one is the oldest chart, the one that goes the furthest back on Trading View. Remember, you guys can go to Coin Market Cap to get one that's pretty far back. But so we'll go to 2012. Just go to one of the last candles in there. It doesn't really matter which one. Okay, so today's price is 55,453 divided by a close of $5.17. Your money would have multiplied. Okay, man, you want to take a guess?
1%.
Yeah. Try 10,725x.
That's a big difference. That's for sure.
That's huge. So if you put $1,000 in there right now, you would be worth $10.7 million.
Yeah. Well, you have to remind me again of why in 2012 I listened to the naysayers and all the negative folks, and now you have to remind me again why not a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, hands down, this was you could have not started your business, work a part-time job at McDonald's, but
Yeah.
managed to put $1,000 in Bitcoin and forget about it. And today you be walking around being able to buy a small franchise,
Yeah.
you know, $10.7 million. But okay, let's go to 2020.
Okay. January.
Yeah, January. All right. So
Yeah.
again, the price today is 55,470 because this is a live chart, so it's changing. And then the close of business in January was 9,327. Yep.
January.
Yep.
Close was
85 points.
93.27.
All right. So your money would
9,000.
have 5.9x. So the other one was the S&P 500 in gold was 2.9x from the beginning, from like 2007 for gold and 1996 for S&P 500. You would have outperformed those those assets, if you had just started investing in January of 2020, right? So all those years invested, you would have right now way outperformed those because you would have done 5.94x on your money. So for every $1,000, if you had put $1,000 in January, your $1,000 today would be worth 5,946. So that's it for the performance side. Those are the facts, right? So you can take off the screen share.
Okay, give me a second here. I was just looking at my phone, that's all. I'm just looking at my phone, verifying that number because, it's crazy because I just 1 year ago, right?
Yeah.
I mean, more than a year ago, a couple more months, but a year and 5 months or whatever.
Yeah, you're 5 months ago.
Yeah, even then. Where do you want me to go?
Well, stop the screen share.
Oh.
Yeah. So those are the facts. Like right there, you got facts, right? You got facts on what's a store of value. You got facts on performance. And the part that I'm excited about was my dad's emotionally charged, heated debate, ready to come in and tear down Bitcoin. I know you don't have a bone to pick with gold, right? Gold is gold. It's cute. It's a yellow brick that your kids or future grandkids won't care about. So let's put gold aside for a bit. Bring me the heat on the things that in that interview or in other research that you really were like, I don't know about Bitcoin right now. So I'll open up the floor for you.
All right, so I was set up for this interview. I didn't get the memo for the outline. But no, that was good educational class. If I bring those points, so regardless of what happened, the education is probably the most important. We've been already 1 hour, almost 1 hour since we started the podcast, but the education is the most important thing. Now my son wants me to bring my gloves on after I already been deflated. Hey, like I said before, I'm not either or for one or the other, right? I mean, if I go right now, I take the gold, right? I mean, if I was taking the gold, if somebody gives me gold they don't want it, I take it, right? And I go do whatever I need to go do. More likely, I will sell it and buy Bitcoin, right? But yeah, I think that my biggest thing to me out of that debate. Now, I'm obviously I'm invested in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I'm already invested. I'm investing in it, and so I'm good for that. But I think the biggest challenge for me, and if I was to do the debate, and I was to get those points, from that conversation that they were having, my biggest concern it is, for example, China and India are the biggest holder of gold. So they are not going to give up Bitcoin to become the digital asset of the world. So if we are debating whether gold or Bitcoin is going to be the currency of the world or the asset of the world, I don't think Bitcoin is there yet. For example, gold, for all intents and purposes, right now the US dollar is not the one or any other currency out there. Everything is kind of like in the gold right now is the important thing. The more the one has, the more gold controls whatever the value of money, right? We know that it's being printed like crazy here and there, but gold is the standard. Is the standard. So I don't think China and India, for example, which are probably the biggest holder of gold, according to these guys that were doing the debate, right? And nobody disputed that. I haven't verified. Maybe somebody go Google and verify it, but I trust what they are saying. So to me, they're not going to give up that right, or Bitcoin become the decentralized currency. They're just not, in my opinion. So that was one of the biggest things that. Then I guess I can run on the points real quickly of what I was going to be bringing my points in here. Unless you want to stop and go one by one.
No,
Uh,
whatever it takes. I know I deflated you, so I'm giving you a chance to rebuild. So
no,
okay,
no,
so it
you
won't.
said, hold on. You set me up real good because first of all, I didn't get the memo with the points. Number two, now I realize. Number two, I realized why you went and took a long nap and why you were so late for the podcast. You were there sleeping. I had to call you and say, "Ron, where you at? We're about to start the recording." And you're there just waking up, and I'm here like all day, being about my business. I didn't go hiking, by the way. I didn't go hiking today. It was raining like crazy. But so I've been busy all day long, and I'm here like tired already. And now you're trying to punish me when I'm already like falling asleep and stuff. So now you throw me all this cover, you refresh. But no problem. I'm still standing. By the way, I'm still standing. You're probably sitting down. I'll be here for over an hour standing. But it's all good. So however you want to do it, I can go real quickly again. Those points. But that's one thing. Well, this goes along with the other points, right? These powerful countries or government, I believe, if they really want to, just like they say in the debate, and I kind of like agree now with Michael Saylor that goes with Bitcoin, but I agree with Frank Gustra, the gold financier, that I believe if the governments really want to, they say, you know what, we don't want Bitcoin, they actually can put legislation to somehow not to completely get rid of it, like he says, but to slow it down or either regulate it to an extent that that it will not be feasible for you to have it. In other words, for that Bitcoin to become the digital asset. So that's my biggest argument. I don't think Bitcoin will become the digital asset for the world as far as a monetary. I think the goal will continue to be that. Bitcoin will have a place, but if the government sees that Bitcoin is going to become the primary goal where every country is going to revolve, I think India and China would not allow it to happen because they got the most gold. And even the United States and the European nations, I believe that they're still not going to say, okay, Bitcoin will become this type of asset as gold. That's just my belief, and that was my biggest debate, and one of my biggest points in that sense. No matter what, and I think that they're probably going to allow it to continue like we are right now, and some governments are going to shut it down because they don't understand it, like Turkey did, for example,
Right.
because they don't understand it, either because they think that people's trying to get away from not paying taxes. And I think we talk about South Korea, that they're becoming more regulated, right? Because people were trying to avoid paying taxes. So regulation is good, right? Regulation is good so they can pay taxes and whatever, as far as illegal activity, I agree with you and everybody else that, people that says like Charlie Munger over this weekend, I'm quite sure you heard about it.
Yeah.
He said, for example, a good point, he said that, Bitcoin is being used by kidnappers and something else. He used, I forgot the other word. He used kidnappers and illegal activities or something else.
Right.
And, it's kind of like sad that he said that because I love him, I love him. And then, of course, Warren Buffett, I love as far as everything that they had done in the history, right? But at the same time, I disagree 100% with him because look, in the products that they believe in and they invest, such as Coca-Cola, a lot of the craft food. I mean, literally, that's almost like rat poisoning, if you ask me.
Right.
Right. Of course, if you drink Coca-Cola in moderation and you have sodas in moderation, it's okay. It's no big deal. I'm not against it.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola is from Atlanta. You guys need to buy stock from that Coke. But that's the only thing I believe that there's some sort of not hypocrisy, but definitely misunderstanding, or maybe hypocrisy to that extent, calling it what he called it. So I think in that sense we're good. But the other one is, I do believe also concerned that just like government sponsored terrorism, just like Russia hike, what did they hike? They solar wind. Whenever Russians were able to penetrate solar wind systems,
Yeah.
and they were able to, hack government agencies at the state, local, federal, state, and local governments, and including some of the just regular businesses, I believe that eventually they could be able to hack whoever is holding Bitcoin if it's being used as a digital asset, especially by governments. If they done it that way, it could easily be done also. So I think it'd be harder to secure Bitcoin in that sense if something was to happen. I mean, imagine the centralized government right now was holding Bitcoin versus gold.
Right.
And somehow that little one switch goes off, that little password was forgotten by somebody, and you had trillions of dollars worth of Bitcoin at the federal government, and that thing just, oops, three of the guys that were holding the key for this password just forget it, it's gone. While the gold, even though you're right, all the points that you made early, what is it, 8 points, 12 points, 24 points, 100 points, that you won most of those points, right?
Yeah.
Even though you're right, in this case, that gold, I don't care if it's being protected at Fort Knox or whatever countries are protecting the gold in whatever boats they got it, but that is where I believe the value of that gold not being able to move nowhere is more secure than any government attacking you and taking that gold from you. So that is one of the things that I got from that debate, that I believe that Bitcoin cannot solve versus gold as far as a currency for the entire world. Um, I mean, I can let you talk. I got a whole bunch of points. I got 1, 2, 3 points in here when it comes to those things, son. I mean, I'm getting just woken up right now just when I said those things. I don't think you can convince me right now that Bitcoin will solve that issue that I just mentioned.
Okay, so first of all, welcome back. Welcome back. I know you weren't expecting the hour beat down that you got. I didn't even know it was an hour. But yeah, you get that hour beat. I never said I fought fair. I say I fight to win.
Yeah, that's for sure. I feel I was kicked all over the place. So good. It's so good.
I wish I could do the meme, like seeing someone like, watching you get beat down or something like that, dude, like right in the middle.
That's how I felt. I felt like a sucker punch. I said, we're going to go debate here, son. And then before you know it, you come up with a list of points.
I go, listen here, son, sit down.
Oh man.
Okay. So I got you.
Right.
I got you. Let me counter punch your hit. So Bitcoin won gold won 1 out of the 8 characteristics of money.
I don't worry about that stuff. I'm going about
That's
the
how
other stuff
less
now.
superior gold is to Bitcoin fundamentally. Okay, so that's first and foremost. We didn't do the final count on the the store value. So it was Bitcoin 7 out of 8, and
Right.
gold had 1 out of the 8.
I got
Um,
it. I'm good with that.
okay, so you mentioned central banks, right?
Hmm.
I believe Bitcoin is too small right now for central banks to really have a meaningful stake in it, right? I think over time, countries will compete for it. So if you think about the history of it, first it was, let's call it computer nerds, right, or programmers that were using Bitcoin. Okay, it wasn't no fancy criminal, with a computer genius degree using it. No, it was the people that are really, really technology savvy, right? That it was first. It was those so a small group of people. Then it became people that are like visionaries, right? People that didn't really quite understand, but they knew like, man, this could be big, right? And they were close to those people that were the technologically advanced people. Then it became general public.
Right.
Then it became institutions. The next thing, such as we're getting a little glimpse of it by the mayor of Miami, wanted to adopt it. So then it became, maybe the cities, right? And then it
Also,
would be like,
Kentucky, also Kentucky is trying to adapt the technology and bring in people that wants to mine and all this other stuff.
yeah, they're incentivizing people to start crypto businesses there
Right,
and mine
right.
it, right? So then it'll be central banks or the governments, right, of the world. So it's a layer to it, right? If a billionaire had came in too early, they could have easily bought it all, right? So that's one. It's an evolution of it. So I do believe that the central banks will own Bitcoin, and they will fight tooth and nail to protect it from hackers and stuff like that, right? But yeah, so one, it's an evolution of who's. This is the first time in history that the people have front run institutions when it comes
Mm.
to investing. You know, it's always been the other way around, where you take a company public and you own so much of this company, and then they go into the stock market, and now everyone can buy it. And as the public is buying it, the price is going up, and then it crashes within the next, maybe sometimes by the same day it crashes, right?
You're
So
talking about like an IPO?
yeah, an IPO, initial public offering, right?
Yeah.
So it's always been institutions that have been the front running a good deal, and then the people
Mm.
get dumped on. So this is the first time that the people have adopted the technology
You
first.
see, that brings me to the point. I know you got more to say that,
Okay, no,
but
that's
I
fine.
just gonna
I
throw.
wrote
I
it
just
down.
gonna throw.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna play dirty line, try to see if I can sucker punch you right now. Okay.
Go ahead.
But exactly what you just said right now, IPOs, this is the first time people have been front running it.
Right.
But my understanding, what I got from that interview, and Michael Saylor didn't argue this point, or he maybe didn't have the chance and opportunity because the way that debate was formed.
Right.
But my understanding is that whales, you know what whales are in Bitcoin, right?
Right.
And for the general public, whales are those people that are holding millions of Bitcoins
Not
or
million.
thousands of Bitcoins, not thousands, thousands or hundreds of Bitcoins, right?
Right.
And my understanding, whales hold, it is said that they say that they hold 2% of the owners hold about 90% of the value of Bitcoin. Now that's what Frank said, and Michael Saylor did not dispute it. And but he said that, and we can do you can do research. I know that's a sucker point
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you
yeah,
right there,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
We'd
that's
have
a
to
big thing
research
right
that.
there. If that is true, yeah, because that's a big sucker point. That's a knockout right there for you. That's a
No,
big boom.
it's not. Here's why it's so.
Okay.
Let's go off the assumption it's true. With
Remember, two
Michael,
percent
yeah,
owners hold 95% of the value.
yeah, some 2% owners,
Right, those are the
um,
big whales, and
90.
maybe that's why I hear some of those guys always talking about the whales out there, controlling the price of Bitcoin, and that was a big concern.
I got a couple points. One, tell me the difference between that and our current system, first of all.
The current system.
our current system in US dollars,
What
right?
about it?
The
What do you want to
wealth
know?
the wealth gap is huge. You have people that can buy multiple $20 million homes, while your
Absolutely.
average person needs a loan to take out $100,000 home,
Right.
right? So the wealth gap, first of all, it's already there. Okay, that's not something new. Tell me something new, and then I'll flinch to it. You know, but
Give
that's
me
already
something
that's
new.
already the case. When one per someone who can buy one Ferrari,
Yeah.
someone that owns a Ferrari owns multiple supercars, right?
Okay.
They don't own just. You're not saying, oh, I'm gonna go get my one. No, it's a huge wealth gap, right? And the thing is, you don't even have a choice on it, because if you own $100 in your savings account and they print more, that $100 just became worthless even faster than the person that has $1 million in their accounts, right?
Okay.
So the wealth gap, which is basically what you just said, right? A whale that owns a lot of Bitcoin, call it 100 Bitcoin, right? 100 Bitcoin at the price of 55,000 is a net worth of 5.5 million, right? So that's first and foremost is 100 Bitcoin is 5.5 million in today's price, right? Michael Saylor, which is that company MicroStrategy, so not him personally, just his company,
Mm-hmm.
owns 90,000 Bitcoin, give or take, right now, right? The largest one is Grayscale. Which Grayscale allows people to buy their Bitcoin, right? So they own the actual asset, and then their investors are buying the paper version of it, right? So they have whenever you buy their stock, you have a 1-for-1 with the Bitcoin, right? That they're holding. So you can't sell it and move it to another exchange. So someone has to hold the asset, and then you can buy the stock version of it, the paper version, right? So that's the largest shareholder is Grayscale, MicroStrategy being the second one. So that's 90,000. That's 90,000. They're the second largest with 90,000 Bitcoin. Not even 1 million, like you stated, right? So there is no one that owns more than 1 million other than Satoshi Nakamoto, right? Which is a pseudo name for the creator that keeps it. He actually has in the wallet where people know that that's his wallet, because it's the first wallet ever created where it was 1 million in there. That's the only wallet that has a million. Okay. So let me debunk that first. The second thing is, let's say you're a company like MicroStrategy. You're going to be eventually incentivized to pay people in Bitcoin, right? Because your people are going to demand it, right? Taxes. Let's say the government says, you know what, we're now going to accept crypto. We're going to now accept to your tax bill to be able to be paid in Bitcoin. So that's going to start getting the money to start being flowing around faster and faster. Right now, you're incentivized not to do it because you have the option of using something that's worthless. If, like, this past weekend, I went to go buy this MacBook to get the editing going, right? You think I'm going to sell my Bitcoin or any crypto for that matter to go buy this $2,000 laptop? No, I'm just going to take my US dollars in my account and pay it. I'm basically trading trash for something that will help me be more productive. But I'll never sell an asset to go buy this. It just wouldn't make sense, right? Because then this could become the most expensive laptop in the next few years, right? So
Then we see you on TV like, yeah, this guy from Chicago
right,
just bought a laptop that
and you
he
can
called.
Google it, but you can Google it, Bitcoin pizza,
Yeah.
Bitcoin pizza day, and you'll see someone bought two large pizzas or whatever for 10,000 Bitcoin, right? So that was 10,000 that got distributed, right? Away. So right now is because you're dealing in a conversion of the current system and the system that is honestly inevitably going to come, right? So that's the reason why you're running into that issue right now, is that you have a concentration of wealth, and you do, but you already had that first of all. Okay. With Bitcoin though, the thing is it's going to be more transparent. Right now, I think people live in a bubble where they don't really realize how much money is really out there, you know. Okay, so I talked about the central banks. I hit your counter punch with the wealth concentration. We already have the wealth concentration. Think about yachts. You we it would take a your whole neighborhood probably could put all their money together and not afford a yacht.
Right, but I'm okay with that though. See, I'm okay with that because that wealth was created at a different point in time,
What do
whether
you
it was accumulated
what do you mean it was created in a different point in time?
at a different point in time, meaning, for example, um, it was not massively created. Let's say, for example, if you're talking about the US dollar, it's not a massively, somebody say, oh, let's create the US dollar today. And you know what? Let's print it like crazy right now. Hey, here, since we're the one creating the US dollar today officially the first day, you know what? Here's your 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. And now let's start people trading whatever corn, whatever, and paying them in dollars.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden you have these guys here, these whales with US dollars. Now,
There was
but
an
here
Illinois
In
businessman.
Bitcoin, you do have those people that were the initial there,
Yeah,
and if that is true, right now they are able to, in my opinion, manipulate the price of Bitcoin. That's why you hear sometimes of those guys that we follow
yeah.
saying, "Oh no, that was the whales. That's playing whales games. They are playing whale games," and then
Right.
you feel like holding the bag because they can manipulate to a way that put fear on you and extract even more of your Bitcoin. I mean, that's
But
the way they make
in
it sound.
time, the volume gets dampened. You know, Bitcoin's nowhere near as volatile as it used to be. You know, so at the end of the day, the more people that adopt it, right, and as whales sell to manipulate the price, and other people are buying it, they're just getting less and less taken away from them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's is in time that will clear its that will flush its that part out, right? But there will be rich people and there will be poor people. It's a question of you got rewarded for adopting it, right? When in 2012, when you heard about it, and the news is
Right,
like,
right.
oh, this is crime, you got rewarded for doing what the other people, what the general public didn't do,
And I agree
right?
with you that and that point with you, I agree 100%. When I hear people, well, those whales, whatever, whatever, I'm like, yeah, those whales believe in the system. They stay there,
Right.
pretty much the working their behinds off and stay firm all the way up to today's day. While other people had the same opportunity to become whales and they just decided to eat them, eat themselves away and
Right.
just spend it like cash. Even today's day, I see a lot of people that is pretty much trying to use it as a currency
Right.
and just buy stuff, especially overseas,
Yeah.
Um, and that's sad because one of these days they might feel the same way. They're gonna say, you know what, if I would have held it for a couple of years, 5 years or whatever, that $200,000 laptop would have been, my Bitcoin would have been worth $2 million, or whatever, whatever it might be, more
Yeah.
than the 2,000 anyway.
$2,000. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. I just think it's in that weird transition phase where it's getting the adoption where it doesn't make sense to sell an asset,
Yeah.
when you have another alternative. The concentration thing that's already been there, and it'll get better over time. Um, okay, so then the other thing you mentioned was the government won't give up the power, they'll legislate it to death.
If they feel it's a threat to them
They are already.
for for right.
Bitcoin is the most regulated asset. Watch this. Okay. We don't think about it, but it really is. So not only do you get capital gains tax when you sell it, right?
Mhm.
But even when you want to use it to buy something, you have to pay the capital gains tax. So if I go buy a house with it, not only am I paying all the fees that everyone else would have paid for the house, but I'm also paying 35% or 15%, depending, the how long you held it, your tax bracket, etc. Right?
Right.
You're paying that percentage on top of whatever you're buying.
And that we agree. I think that we will agree what we are talking
Well,
here, in my
hang on with this.
opinion.
So my point with that was the reason why people also aren't, they're not incentivized. It's almost like the government doesn't want you to use it to buy things because that's the way the tax law is written. So if they took away, you know what, if you're buying it for goods, no, you're not paying capital gains tax anymore. If you're trading it, then you're paying capital gains tax. You're going to see an increase in volume of people wanting to use it to buy goods, right?
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
that's when you're getting salaries are starting to get paid in Bitcoin.
Right.
Eventually, you're going to have people that go, I want 50% of my salary in cash, and 50% of my or fiat, 50% of my salary paid in this crypto, Bitcoin, etc. Right? So you're gonna have people that are gonna start asking for that. You're having celebrities ask for it right now. You're having board people are sitting on the board of companies asking for it right now. But the little guy, you and me, we're not able to ask for that kind of payment in that way. But you know what is happening is that if I'm a small business, I can go, you know what, you're buying this, you can actually pay me in crypto or you can pay me in dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And little by little, people will start migrating over, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like if you had the choice between MySpace and Facebook, you eventually chose the superior social media website, right? Social media company. You eventually chose a superior one. So it's inevitable that people are eventually going to choose to use Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency over the current system. It's inevitable. You're going to choose a
Yeah.
superior asset. So,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
I'm good.
yeah, so that's that. So when I say regulation and legislation, it's there is no other asset that gets taxed more than Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
yet it's still growing. We saw in the chart, in 10 years 10,000 times your money with
Mm-hmm.
all that regulation. If
Yeah,
they let it be a free-for-all, it would grow way more
yeah,
faster.
yeah. But well, let me ask you this though. So you think now that I'm agreeing with you in that sense, that I see people using it for as a currency, and right now you're actually referring it as a currency. If that's exactly what are you doing. But that's where to me, perhaps those two guys maybe are not seeing eye to eye. Because see, what you say right now, I agree with you 100%.
Mm.
Demand to be paying salary, right? For me to get paid in Bitcoin. Government like Kentucky, Florida, or in other states are encouraging people to use it either to pay the taxes or bring more business because they see the value in it. I'm all for what you're saying.
Right.
What I believe is what I'm saying is I don't think the government perhaps will allow it to be their goal. You see my goal value. Kind of like crazy because it's just like the dollar. The dollar you exchanging dollars every day, right? Your fiat money,
Right.
but your goal is still your goal.
Faster
See,
and
you just
faster.
refer you just refer to Bitcoin as not equal to the goal up here. You just refer it exactly as the dollar and the and Bitcoin being exchanged. Yeah, but that means that if you what you just said is true, then the goal will remain, and you were going to be exchanging this thing. And that's what I'm saying that the goal will remain because no government is going to give up this thing that nobody can destroy, nobody can do something
Okay,
to
I
it,
see. I
and
see
they will
what
fight to the death.
because
So
gold
now
is
you got the
slow.
1 to 3 points that you
No,
yourself just
no.
comparing the Bitcoin
I'm
to
about to.
currency, but the goal is right here still. Pow bang,
No, I'm about to blow your
bang
mind.
bang.
I'm about to blow your mind. So one,
They did.
you're stating because gold is hard to move and it's not
No,
easy.
no, no, no. I'm just going by what you just said a minute ago. You
Oh, no,
just
no, no, no.
described that you
I
want to
get it.
get paid by dollars, you want to get paid by this.
Right,
Yeah, well, the dollar is here.
right.
But that's right. The goal is still here. That no, everybody's exchanging dollars and different ones and different type of money, but the goal is still remains.
Okay, I got two things. One, why would gold still be there if no one is seeing any intrinsic value in it anymore? Right? Think about it.
Governments are
If,
still seeing it.
let's say India has 100 tons of gold,
Right.
but they go, hey, we want to do trading, give me, and we go, we don't want that. It just be your 100 tons of gold just became worth. What are you gonna do? Put all that
To
in
who?
cell phone parts
To who?
to other governments because people aren't gonna see that.
Right. People don't care.
And
They don't
remember,
want the
we
goal right now.
elected
Right now, we're not fighting for the goal. Remember, me and you
right.
they're not going to get
I
gold.
almost want to say there will no longer be war on gold anymore because it's not that valuable anymore.
But that's what I'm saying to you right now.
Wait, wait,
And
wait.
my understanding
But,
with the
but you know
argument with
what's
this
more
guy,
valuable right
huh?
now? Data. Data is more valuable right now than gold. Right?
But but but,
Technology.
but Right now, this is where the debate might not go nowhere. We might get anchored because remember,
Huh?
China. Let's say if China and India, according to this guy, had the biggest holder of gold.
Right?
you think they want you to show up there to the parliament on discussion, and they want to hear you that yeah, data is more valuable than gold. They're not good. They don't want to hear that. They want that commodity, physical stuff
Right.
that they can feel, touch, and see.
So yeah, that's the
I
current
don't know.
people in there that have gray hair.
Yeah,
But
I'm trying to say.
eventually in time, the value systems are gonna change. It's just like when you told me the guy asked his son Tesla or Doge, and the kid said Doge. Do I think the answer will be Doge? I don't think so. Doesn't make sense. But hey,
I have to be careful.
that's
You know, I have to be careful I answer that question because last time I said something about Kathy, you have to ask your husband.
I know,
But
right?
when you start saying young people and great people, I like, hey, should I say something or not? So I have to be
No,
careful.
but I'm just saying in general, right? I
Yeah,
mean, obviously those are the people with money from being general, right? The older you are, the more money you probably have, especially like if you look at the billionaires list, they're mostly going to be older. They're more in their
yeah,
45s, 50s, right? So, but what I'm saying is that one, as new people get into the government,
yeah.
they're more likely to be more technology advanced,
I
right?
get it.
And they're
We
more
good.
likely to own Bitcoin.
We good.
So when they own Bitcoin, they're not going to hurt it. So in time, you're having more and more people adopt it, right?
Right.
And it's infiltrating the government itself. That's one. The
That's it.
second thing is you're thinking that, and this is game theory, right? This is the thing that we don't know what the future holds. Just like if you told
No,
me,
we
hey,
done.
the
Yeah.
internet goes, the internet was born, and
Right.
with the help of the government, they didn't know all these companies were going to be built on it this way,
Right. Right.
right? So who's to say that we are trading Bitcoin in the first place? Who's to say that we're not using wrapped Bitcoin, or we're not using something that is pegged to Bitcoin? But the only difference is when we actually peg it, it is verifiable that it's pegged
Mhm.
to it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So if I own 100,000, if I own $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, right? Let's call it 2 Bitcoin. I have 2 Bitcoin right now, right? And instead of me selling my Bitcoin, I, the currency of whatever is being used, the one that's faster, the one that has more transactions per second that can be
Mm-hmm.
used, it actually makes more sense to use as currency, would just be backed up to the Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin won't necessarily flow from that to that. It might flow from selling a big asset. A big asset is all relative. So let's say it's a house, right? Me and you, we might trade Bitcoin for things like property, right?
Yeah.
But we might buy things with something like I don't know, Cardano, Zill, right?
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. I
That's
mean,
been accepted by
you can
Mark
buy
Cuban.
basketball, yeah, basketball tickets with Doge,
Right.
right? So we don't know what the world may necessarily look like, but governments may be actually the biggest holder of Bitcoin eventually, and they are trading between themselves with the Bitcoin,
Right.
right? There's billionaires that are the size of many countries, small
Right.
countries, right? So there's an awesome chart that I think we really need to show people. Not today because I don't have it up, but the supply of money and it kind of shows like the squares of like, oh, the 10 billionaires, the 10 top richest people in the world have this much money compared to blah blah blah. This is how much money is in real estate. This is how much money is in gold. This is how much money in Bitcoin. This is how much money in derivatives. And it kind of gives you a real big perspective of how big Bitcoin really can go because it's more superior than all of those things. It can put all those things into it, right?
I'm with you there now. I'm with you there.
Yeah. But
I'm just the only thing to me was just that.
to your third
The
point,
only
real
thing
quick,
to me that.
to your third point is that I don't think governments are going to have a choice to say what's valuable and what's not. They right now they have a monopoly on money. They are the only ones allowed to say, "Hey, Fed, please print more," right?
Right.
They have a monopoly on that. Just like back in the day, a king had a monopoly on coinage, right? So in time, you have less and less of a hold. People in power have less of a hold on money. Once this thing came out, everyone's idea of what's valuable has now changed. People question, why is money valuable in the first place? If you ask your average person, they still think your money is backed up by gold. They don't realize it's backed up by nothing but a government promise.
Right. And that, I mean, that was established with the Nixon
Right. But
administration.
that's still like, whoa, I thought my money was backed up by something. It's not, right? Your average
Yeah.
person does not know that, you know? So that to me is like once that kind of came out of the box, it's already heading down its death sentence,
Hmm.
the fiat currency. And when you have an alternative that's verifiable that people are using, you're going to start demanding better regulation to it, right? Hey, we want to buy this, but does it really make sense to pay 35% when I'm going to go buy this loaf of bread with Bitcoin or with a crypto? It doesn't make sense. So I don't think governments will be able to put that back in a box. They can't. They haven't been able to put back the internet back in a box. They want to shut down Facebook. Good luck. Like it's so big, so many people use it. It's almost like that too big to fail kind of thing,
Hmm.
right? You wipe out Bitcoin, you wipe out just Bitcoin alone is 1 trillion. It's the seventh largest, if it was a company, in the world
Hmm. Yeah.
in just
We,
12
we,
years or 11 years. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, no argument there. All I was just saying is exactly that. Gold versus Bitcoin. If you compare it to me,
what governments will value?
no, if you compare it to me, what is going to be that exchange, the main thing that established policy, because the goal is the one to establish that policy, whether you call it manipulation or not, right?
Yeah.
Of how much money they can lend or not is based upon something. So if Bitcoin is supposed to become that,
Mhm.
then Bitcoin cannot be a currency. It's just like your goal right now.
Why?
You're not right now 100%. You're not really taking your goal and buying around with gold,
Wait,
right?
wait,
You're
wait,
not
wait.
taking.
So
You know what I'm
wait,
saying?
let's say each Bitcoin is now worth 10 million bucks.
Yeah.
Okay. Me and you would probably be trading 500 Satoshis for our normal
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, the government be creating in full coins or
Right.
something.
So why can't it be both?
Could
Right.
be.
Exactly. That's
Could
what I'm
be.
trying to say though. The big the people that's actually be left holding the bags and be the people with the biggest amount of gold that they have to pay every month to secure to do this. And when they could have just been like, wait, that country over there adopted Bitcoin first.
Mhm.
Imagine the US did not adopt the internet and open it up for everybody. And
Right.
another country did. We would
Mhm.
have a different world power. It's more about adopting and embracing the technology. It's not about cutting your people off from it. So that is the truth.
You know why I wanted to laugh with this,
Yeah.
right? Because you give me an analysis of the internet, and you're right. It created wonderful things. The internet is also bringing down. I'm not going to go into the details, but it's also bringing down certain organizations, certain uh, 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 governments, and certain things. It's being served a purpose that people sometimes wish that it wasn't there because it's allowing them to create certain things. So I mean, certain things could be used for good and bad, both of them. I was,
Yeah.
and I agree
Now,
with you. The dollar
now
the same way. The
for
dollar the
sure,
same way being used. Yeah,
Bitcoin could be used for bad, just like any
yeah,
technology could be used for
right,
bad,
right,
right? Artificial intelligence, stuff like that. But my thing is, if you don't adopt it, you will get left behind.
right,
Just as an investor alone, if you adopted it years ago, you would be way ahead. Everyone that's adopting it now, you're more behind than them. And if you wait another 10 years, your $1,000 now will buy not even a tenth of a Bitcoin per se,
right.
right? So every single time you're the last person to get in and adopt a new system, you get left behind. Imagine when
Right.
the computers came out and you were
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't want to learn that.
Yeah,
Today, you are left behind, right?
yeah,
You're using the most basic computers in your normal job. So if you were working at a retail store, you're still using technology, but now you're the
right.
end user of it. And it's the most basic: buy this, pay that, or return this, return that, right? But you still had to use the system,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if you had gotten involved in it earlier, you probably would have been programming those systems. So that's what I mean. It's we don't know how crypto is going to necessarily shape the world, but I could tell you one thing is that if you don't adopt it, in one capacity or another, whether it's an investor or you're using it,
Mhm.
then you will get left behind, because that's been true for any technology.
Right, right. And with that said, I won.
No, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett,
Yeah,
right? Two respected people,
yeah,
right? In investing, arguably one of the best investment teams. I'll call it duos, right?
yeah.
But they have both said that they don't understand technology and they don't invest in technology.
Right.
Their extent of investing in technology is probably giving their money to Bill Gates to own a certain amount of Microsoft and whatever, right? They don't invest in things they don't understand. So that's one. They don't understand this. They've already said that. For them to say that it's, rat poison years ago, and then when it went up, they actually said it's rat poison, squared, right? They're gonna be saying it
Yeah,
until their grave at the end of the day.
right. And
I
there's a lot of
doubt.
people like that too. Yeah,
Yeah, but
that
let me
they
actually
snap
take
for.
it a different route, because I think that's the route most people kind of get and understand, right? Um, One, I think we're in a midst of a wealth transfer, a transfer of wealth,
Mm.
right? Where if you are very wealthy, but you are choosing to not adopt this, like if I was Michael Saylor talking to Frank, I probably would have been like, please don't buy Bitcoin and talk to me 20 years from now.
Mhm.
Put all your money or 80% of your money in gold, and then put the other 20% in stocks. And I'll put 80% in Bitcoin and 20% in stocks. And let's see who is doing better 20 years from now. I bet you Frank would go, and if they had to disclose where their money is, I bet you Frank would be like, I mean, I do own Bitcoin, so do I got to sell it now? Because you would be you would not, that would not be an intelligent thing to not have exposure to Bitcoin. It wouldn't be, especially at that level when you have that much money. You mean to tell me you're not going to put 10 million in Bitcoin if you're
Yeah.
a billionaire?
I mean, if he doesn't do it just strictly pride and trying to put a point, and he's gonna go down with the ship at the end of the day.
Right. So
You know.
to
So.
me, it's a transfer of wealth. You either adopt it or you don't, and everyone has the choice.
Mhm.
But to me, it's pretty evident that any technology that has come out that's new, that is better, solves a lot of problems. If you don't adopt it, you do get left behind. So it's a transfer of wealth happening. So awesome that these guys aren't transferring it. They were already going to give away their money, most of it, when they passed away. Now they're just going to get it taken away from them.
Mhm.
But it's the same thing, you know. So that's one. And then here's a third part of that other people may not think about. They're incentivized to keep the system the way it is. They have mastered the traditional world, the traditional fiat system, that the investing in stocks. They have mastered that stuff. That's why they got to where they are. If we take their game, right, we're playing Monopoly and we just switch it, and now we do, Monopoly 5.0, or that Robert Kiyosaki game, Cash Flow,
Yeah.
like you play
Yeah.
that game. Now the rules are a little different. There's more variables. Now it's like, whoa, I need to change my game plan, but my game plan has worked all those years,
Yeah.
right? So to me, they're incentivized to keep everything the same. If they keep everything the same, they're not losing their status,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for people like you and me, if the game stays the same, we can never outcome compound our money to get caught up to them. They could just invest their money in 10% and we wouldn't catch them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So awesome that they don't adopt it, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I'd be
Yep.
very surprised if when they pass away and someone comes in to replace them as a CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, that they don't go, first thing we're going to do is take 10% and put it in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing someone's going to do whenever they replace them,
Yeah.
in my opinion,
Yep.
if they're young.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett for you. And then you said about the hacking. I don't think, and I'm not a technology person, but the blockchain itself can't be hacked unless you own 51% or more of the circulating supply of Bitcoin. And you have
Yeah.
the
I don't think the technology being hacked. I mean the individual
wallet.
corporation that
Yeah,
is holding some sort of key and somehow they just didn't have something, the
Okay.
proper thing. Look, people are still being hacked with dumb email, piercing emails saying, "Hey, yeah, this is I'm the CEO of your company. You send me the password. I forgot." And people are okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's the dumbest way to get hacked.
Yeah.
But there is a will, there's a way, and I do believe that just like the people that are creating these blockchains, whether it is different digital assets. I have no idea. I'm not an expert. I had to interview. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe find and interview somebody that is an expert at creating those digital assets.
Yeah.
And if they are able to create something, are they also able to break into?
Well,
So that's to me
I think
probably.
there's levels to it too, right? We had actually one of our subscribers build their own coin on Ethereum. So I'm excited to have him on.
Yeah,
But
you were mentioning to me, so
yeah,
hopefully
he's
that will be a good thing.
technology. He's a shy guy, but we're gonna get him on.
Yeah, tell him to put a mask or something, glasses or something, masquerade, or we'll put a happy face on his face if
I
you don't
know,
want to.
emoji.
Yeah,
But
but
so one, I think there's levels to it. So even if we got a programmer on there, it doesn't mean that they know like the intricate details of it, right?
mhm,
Um, but basically, what I will say to that is the internet itself, right? They call it just the regular internet. Crypto, the thing that makes cryptos possible is the blockchain.
mhm,
It's basically Web 3.0,
right.
right? Where it's built a lot more savvy, where you're not necessarily being able to hack. It doesn't have all the vulnerabilities that the internet protocol has.
Yeah.
So in in theory, to hack something like a blockchain, like I said, you would have to own a significant amount of it. But if you're
Hmm.
attacking the end user of it, how is that different than gold? How is that different than you having gold in your house, someone knowing about it, and they breaking in and just taking the vault and seeing your vault dragged across the street? How's that different than ransom, right? How's that different than like all
See,
that?
we are talking about two different things. But I agree with you on that.
Well,
But
you're
I'm
attacking
talking
the
about
point.
between at the personal level. At the personal level, absolutely. I'm talking about government level.
Okay.
Government level, it
Yeah.
just doesn't work that way. Nobody go hacks Fort Knox before. Never, nobody ever were able to break in Fort Knox.
Right.
Of course, there's no gold there no
But
more.
there's protocols to everything. So, for example, if even me, I don't keep all my Bitcoin on one wallet,
Right.
even if it is a hardware wallet. I
Mhm.
don't, because if it ever gets hacked, I'm like, man, that sucked, right? That's part of being in the Wild West, right?
Yeah.
That's where again you can lose your money not just by making a bad trade or making a bad investment. You can lose your money by not having the proper security protocols. Just like if
Right.
you don't have the proper security protocols with your gold, you can lose it, right? So
Mhm.
it's the same thing with here. Is that I can, if I don't have the proper security protocols, and I think that's going to get better and better, right? People are going to be more and more educated on it. So they're not going to be like, okay, I have part of it here, part of it here, part of it there, and people are going to get better. To the
Mhm.
older people that are not going to ever deal with, a wallet or anything like that, that are still going to need to be onboarded in crypto, that's going to be business that we don't know what companies are going to come out of this, right? Out of this space their sole thing is gonna be to protect their people's asset, like a bank,
Mhm.
right? The problem is when the bank is protecting your assets and you have fraud on your account, they don't necessarily go after the fraud unless the amount is, astronomical, right? All they're
Mhm.
gonna do is say, oh, here's some more money, right? We're gonna make you even, but you don't really know where that money came from, what account did that money come out of, where did that money in that account come from. But if
Right.
you drill it all the way up, it's just printed money.
Mhm.
It's just someone sitting on a computer and going boom, 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 boom. When you make it high up enough, right? If you keep following the chain of where that money came from, you're eventually gonna get to somebody just typed it in a computer,
Yep.
right? So that's the only thing with Bitcoins. I think there's going to be opportunities for people to start businesses on it, on the blockchain that is, maybe geared towards onboarding people that are not as technology savvy. You'll have custodians, for example, and there are banks like that right now. Kraken has their banking license. There's a couple other ones. Abra has their banking license. You have companies like BlockFi, Celsius, where they are the custodians of it. With Celsius, all you need is your email address, do the KYC, and they store your money, right? So you don't have a 24 word private wallet. So there are companies already out there that are making it easier for your everyday person.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool. Bye.
but that was all your points. That's
After
all you
two
got?
hours, absolutely.
Huh?
After 2 hours, absolutely.
Did we somehow make it to a longer podcast than the fourth?
Mhm.
But yeah, so I mean, to me, in my opinion, I feel like I won if you went and said, and across like just the normal, your average person, they go, I may not have a lot of money, but if all my money is in the current traditional system and I don't even have a leg or a foot in the new system, the potential new system, then you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. And I think that right there is a win enough for me, especially when the technology is only 12 years old or 11 years old.
Right, right. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with. I mean, I'm with you in pretty much all. If not, I would not be invested right now in the crypto space. Absolutely. I'm still going to go down. I mean, I'm still going to go out with some of those main points, and that probably remain because to me, it's going to remain to be seen as far as government adoption of Bitcoin as replacing gold. That's what I'm saying. Everything else, I'm with you, and I'm going to go buy a laptop with my Bitcoin. I believe that it will going to be accepted, whether it is for income or salaries. That's the only thing that I think at the end it will be that remains to be seen
Will your
for
mind
me.
change? Your mind will probably change when the government says you can now pay your taxes in Bitcoin. Because guess what? The only reason why they would do that is for them to accumulate Bitcoin.
Right.
Not That's one way of them accumulating Bitcoin. The second way might be incentivizing their citizens to mine or
Right.
companies to mine.
And that's the unknown. Remember, yeah, that's the unknown because we don't know yet where's it at.
Right.
But it looks like it's going that way, but we just remain to be seen whether U.S. government will adopt Bitcoin as a replacement to gold
And you got to remember, the U.S. government has probably the most to lose,
if they
right?
don't do anything. Yeah.
Yes, because they are the current status, right? So when
Right.
all 190, so there's 198 countries in the world. So when
Right.
197 of them figure out, wait, I'm going to use this. Now it is going to be a race to which countries accumulate more. So where does the price go from there?
All right,
Because,
and we can leave that for future podcast number 1,000.
and that's why I'm never giving up my Bitcoin, because I'm waiting for the day that governments are saying, hey, we own this much, we own this much, I'm waiting for
And
that
don't
day.
forget, Mother's Day is coming up, so I'm quite sure your mom will appreciate some Bitcoin, full coin.
I'll send her hugs and kisses.
All right, well, I think we had a great debate. Unless you had something else today, I thought it was a good debate. First of all, I love that you did the educational portion of it,
Yeah.
even though you kicked me when I was down. But I think education is the most important thing. We're going to break it down in different chapters. That way, people can break down this podcast that is a little bit longer than usual. But if it's broken down, the educational,
We could probably do two separate ones, like podcast number 5, part 1, which is just the education one, and then the debate part 2.
right, right. So that way, everybody can watch at different time frames and stuff.
Yeah.
And unless you got anything else, what else you got
No,
coming up?
I gave you my final thoughts in there. I really think that, at the end of the day, I would, my hope is that the average person is participating in this, that it's not just the multimillionaires and billionaires of the
Absolutely, yeah.
world.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. Are we still in it? Next time that we meet again, we'll review and see where the cryptocurrencies are.
Right.
We probably talk to my sister. She's hopefully moving forward. She might need any assistance from that last video. I have no idea. But anything else, Ronald? I mean,
Ethereum, the second largest crypto, hit an all-time high.
today,
It hit
Dogecoin,
3,400.
yeah, Dogecoin is getting up there to the high of close to 45 again, 45 cents.
45 again? Oh yeah.
Yep, almost there.
So this
So
place
that's
is
good.
exploding.
You know, yeah. But like always, you always have to have your eyes open. At least from my perspective, have your eyes open. People cannot be excited one day because things are going up. The next day is going down, so you would be in that emotional roller coaster. Just look at the long term, like you said.
Yeah.
If you are in the bull market, that's what's going to happen. Dips, ups, and downs and stuff. So sounds good to me. I'm going to call it a day for today. Get ready for tomorrow. And for everybody out there, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. And what
Comment,
else, Ron? Huh?
comment, share.
Make comments, share, all that cool stuff, and we greatly appreciate it. All
Yep.
right.
Get the word out.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, Softrex fam.
All right.
Love
Love
you,
you.
Dad.
Bye. Take care.